And I'm going to blitz you with a few figures, but sadly the United Kingdom has reached a new landmark, and it is now allowing for deaths per 1 million head of population, so not the gross figure in every sense of the word, although that's not good for the United Kingdom either, by the way, but deaths per one. The United Kingdom has now moved to the third highest deaths per 1 million head of population, the third highest in Europe, and among the highest in the world now, which is absolutely shocking. In Belgium, and this again, apologies because this might touch you personally, Belgium 806 deaths per 1 million of population, Spain 580, the United Kingdom 546. It's greater even than the US, 304 in the US. And as you look down developed countries, you see places such as Canada 176, Switzerland 221, and then you find yourself at Israel 31. But now, you don't necessarily have a city the size of London, I get all of that, but it's still very much an international trade area. How? Let's bring into the conversation Lieutenant Colonel Jonathan Conricus, who's international spokesman for the IDF, the Israeli Defense Force. And the IDF played a key role in this, Lieutenant Colonel. Go through, if you would, for my listeners, exactly what you and your colleagues have achieved. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, and first of all, thank you for having me, and a shout out to everybody in Britain who is still dealing with the situation. I hope you get by it soon.
Thank you.
So from our perspective, it was a national situation of emergency, kind of a all-hands-on-deck situation where the IDF quickly understood that what we need to do as a military who's trained to fight enemies along our borders and elsewhere was to make a shift and to as quickly as possible, get into the trenches here and help with whatever the state of Israel needed. And what we've been doing since day one, first of all, was clear guidelines and priorities. Now, Corona was and it was a very important situation, but bottom line, we still have our borders to protect and we still have lots of enemies around us. So priority number one was to continue to defend our borders, and second priority was to help in whatever the state of Israel needed in dealing with the situation. We've been manning hotels to help our medical system, the hospitals, not get overburdened. So we've had hotels where more than 6,000 Israeli civilians have been admitted to, those who were suffering from only lesser symptoms of the virus. And that's been one way that we've had less people in the hospitals, and only those who really needed hospital care have been in. We've been distributing food and medicine to Israeli civilians all over the country, to Jews, to Muslims, to Christians, to Arabs, to Bedouins, whoever needed food because they were in lockdown. We provided food.
In parts of Europe, such as the United Kingdom, Lieutenant Colonel, and Spain, there have been tremendous shortages of what we call PPE, i.e. plastic gloves, breathing kit for medical staff. How did you combat that problem in Israel?
So we had quite decent supplies of it to begin with, but one of the advantages that the defense establishment has is our lines of communication and logistic capabilities of procurement. And the IDF and the defense ministry and other parts of the defense establishment really got busy with that early on and said, okay, this is what we need. We're not acquiring missiles or bombs or protective equipment of other kinds, military stuff. What we need now is PPE for the frontline fighters. They are the medical personnel, and that's what we're buying. Some of it went through local procurement and local production in Israel, and the rest of it was obtained from various countries around the world, east, west, south, basically wherever we could get our hands on it, that's what we did. And that goes for other types of equipment as well.
And how key was it, if you'll allow that, because of the unique position you have on the planet, you have a military presence and a military setup all the time across Israel. How key was that to the success? How key was that to the success you and your colleagues delivered, Lieutenant Colonel?
I think it was actually quite an important thing, because at the end of the day, not only are we almost always in some kind of a state of an emergency, but the awareness and the lines of communication and the personal connection between the defense establishment and the civilian authorities in Israel, because of our security situation, is already good. So once we got into the corona effort, what we needed to do was just to shift. Instead of protecting our civilians against rockets and missiles being fired from Gaza or Lebanon, now we were protecting them or helping the national effort in protecting them. And definitely, yes, the levels of preparations and awareness and the fact that we have all of the protocols ready, we know how to mass communicate, we know how to disseminate information, we have the logistic drills, we have the command and control, and the awareness of the discipline of Israeli civilians who know that when there's an emergency, they look at the IDF and the defense establishment, they trust us, and they know that we're here to help.
Well, credit to you and your colleagues. I must go there for time reasons. Thank you for your time joining us from Israel. Lieutenant Colonel Jonathan Conricus, who's in